Well, welcome everyone, and welcome everyone on Spotify, listening on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, all of that stuff, to the second rendition of Hot Takes Live. For those of you who are in the live call, our videos are on, so you can see all of us, looking around and checking everything out, which is super, super fun. For those of you on Spotify, you can't see us, but you can hear us, and we're really excited that you are listening now. How this is going to work for those of you who are in the chat is you have the opportunity to buzz in, speak about what you want to speak, and if you don't feel comfortable buzzing in, feel free to talk in the chat or fill out that form. John is updating the form as we get more responses. Just a reminder about how the new Hot Takes lineup actually is going to work. On the second Thursday of every month, we're going to release a taped version, which we released earlier this month. And then on the last Thursday of every single month, we're going to have a live show, which, like I said, is already pre-recorded or is going to be recorded and released on the MIR 97 podcast feed, just like the taped one. So if you aren't able to make the live show, just know that it will be in the feed. You'll be able to hear all the chaos that goes on in these calls. And if this call is anything like the last Hot Takes Live we did, you may have seen from the promo, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of hot takes, and also a lot of swearing and a lot of Joe getting very, very unhappy. So hopefully we see a little bit of that again, even though we all love Joe and don't really want to see him unhappy. How this is going to work, if you have a take you want to share, I'm going to encourage you to message John. He's going to vet all of them just to ensure you guys aren't horribly racist and fascist people before you are cleared to come on and chat with all of us. This is live. It's going on Spotify, so don't say anything your grandma would want to hear, but you are welcome to feel your feelings. That's the best way I can describe what you're able to do. And we want to hear from as many people as possible. So if you are interested in speaking live, start messaging John. He's going to kind of set up a queue, and we have some takes to go over in the meantime while that is going on. While you guys are messaging John and John setting that all up, we have a little bit of a match breakdown we wanted to do real quick, talking about the 2-2 tie against Philly. Joe, real quick, what was your biggest takeaway about the 2-2 tie against Philly?
I still think so. It's obviously our back line is still going to be an issue, I think, for sure. And as long as Gutman comes back, I think we'll be in a better spot. But defensively, we need to do a lot better. We gave up way too many chances. Like, we didn't get bailed out by VAR because offside is offside. And, thank you to VAR and the replacement scab refs for doing an amazing job. But yeah, we need to do better on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's always the common thing with these fire teams is leaking in those late goals, and we saw that again this game, unfortunately. But I see JT Gruber in the chat is saying chemistry issues, it'll come. It's true. It's a new team, and at the end of the day, you got to give it a few days and a few games and a few months even to really flesh out those chemistry issues. But all in all, a 2-2 tie in Philly ultimately is a really good result. They're a quality team. We very well could have lost that game. We also very well could have won that game. So I'll take a point as long as we get 3 points against, once again, another very quality side in Cincinnati. Joe, you mentioned Gutman. I'm glad you mentioned Gutman. I feel comfortable reporting here live that they're not expecting him to be out for more than a month. So it's a lot better than everything we expected. Gutman, for those of you who don't know, is my favorite player. I know he's got a soft spot in Joe's heart too, because he's got a jersey. But only expected to be out max 5 weeks, which is really great to hear, which is probably going to be around 5 matches. So having him back in the fold is going to be very, very huge for this franchise and for this city. Very, very happy about that. Feel free to spread the word, spread the love, spread the joy. Gutman is coming back. Joe, who's your man of the match from the Philly game?
Goody.
Just because that goal had me, I was at a Rise house and I jumped out of the chair screaming and I wanted to cry. That was sick. It was just dirty. Fabi's a close second. Mine Captain did an amazing job, but we got to give it to Goody for that banger.
Yeah, wait. Oh my God, Mauricio Pinedo just accepted our follow request on Instagram. Sorry, you heard that live. Um, yeah, it was interesting. I was at work during the game and I was fine for the first like X amount of time. No one was bugging me. And as soon as Guti scores, one of my coworkers comes in and gives me a task. So I didn't actually get to see the goal live, which is really, really annoying, but that's totally okay. And I agree with you. Guti's definitely the man of the match. Joe, follow up question. Who's the flop of the match? Who was the flop of the match?
As much as it pains me, I'm gonna go with Rafa Shihos. It was really bad. The game and that whole back thing was really bad. But yeah, I know people want to say stuff about Kuipers, but that again, I think that's more of a thing where they got to get him the ball better. But sorry, Rafa, it was you. You were the problem right now.
I know that was really tough for you to say, so I appreciate you saying it. I see a couple in chat that I think are funny. One, Logan goes, feels unfair, but Gutman was objectively the flop of the night, LOL, which was going to be my initial answer because he literally got hurt, which sucks. Like, I never want to see someone get hurt ever at all. But I got to go with Hugo Kuipers. I thought it was a very underwhelming debut, and that may in itself be a hot take compared to some other performances, but he looked like he didn't really know what he was doing. And I get it, new league, first game. I get it. But still, I had slightly higher expectations for what exactly we'd see from him this game, and I was a little disappointed overall. Jiggly just called me Bud, so I'm about to start throwing hands already, and we're not even 20 minutes in.
I mean, I don't know how you can call him the flop of the match when no one could get him the ball. It's not his fault.
We're screwed.
Himself.
We're screwed if we can't get him the ball, and it'll come with time. But I'm saying,
hold on, hold the phone. I have a flop of the match. You know who it is?
Who?
Barlow. And that
Howard.
terrible breakaway goal. I just remembered about that. Yeah, it's him. He's awful. Awful.
No, that's a W. Well done. Well said that. Everyone's like, don't remind me, please. I don't want to hear about it. Had the chance for the game winner, but on the flip, I know Philly also hit the crossbar in like the 92nd minute too, so we very well still could have lost that game, even if Barlow made it, knowing the Chicago Fire. But I agree with you. Barlow, flop of the match. Probably should have been Kutsia subbed in, but I think the mindset in Klopas's head was Barlow's going to be the guy who comes on in the 89th minute when you're up a goal to just run around and annoy the back line.
He's going to be John Espinoza.
Yeah, and Kutsis is going to be the guy you bring in when you need a goal in the 89th minute to tie it up. But it was a gamble. We lost. Let's not make that mistake again in Cincinnati. Paul says, now you guys won't let me have Barlow as flop. Also, Paul is not in here for a reason. We love him. He's just dealing with some stuff at home, but he's in the chat and he's talking to us. Forgot to mention that about that. Sorry, Paul. Bro, boo, anti-Scottish, racism again. You know I love the Scottish. Go Celtic. Go Glasgow. No, not go Glasgow. Go Celtic. That's what I meant. Flop of the match, Tom. Go ahead, John.
Sorry, yeah, Matt. Let me interject because Joe, you pushed back on Matt. Matt was very nice to you. You picked Rafa. Does losing his left back literally 2 minutes into the game and being paired with a guy he had never played a real game with mean anything? And then a guy who's typically
eat
a right
a
back
Joe.
at the last end, like that can't be nothing, right?
No. He was bad. And then to sit there and hand off the captain's armband, to do whatever you did to just say, you know what? I don't want to be a leader anymore. You know who I'm going to make the leader? Xherdan Shaqiri. I am not here for that. He has lost all respect. I am now anti-Rafa Shihos. I'm sure Jake on Twitter is going to be very upset with me, but I am now on the anti-Rafa Shihos. I will burn all my jerseys immediately.
I feel like
This is so emotional.
This is so emotional. Before we even wrote the question. That's.
I think Joe's just being a little emotional, but we've all been there. I get it. I was emotional when Gutman went down in the second minute. So listen, I get it. But hey, hold on to that belief, Joe. Rafa Shios is our unofficial captain, okay? Believe in him. And I'm not a Rafa believer, for the record. I'm not part of that cult. But you need to believe in him, okay? Joe shaking his head no. He wants nothing to do with this conversation.
I don't want anything to do with that. And Wallabury, I am going to dump and dunk on him, buddy.
For those of you who don't know what is going on, Walbury said Rafa won't be back next year, but you don't need to dump on him, and Joe is precisely dumping on him. And Walbury said boo, which I agree. Boo you, Joe. Before we get into the community takes, one more question for you, Joe and John. Feel free to hop in and answer as well. With a young DP winger most likely coming in this summer, and presumably some center mid and midfield reinforcements, could Chris Muller be expendable in the summer?
Yes. But a lot of it's going to depend on when he actually does get some playing time to see how it goes. I was honestly kind of surprised he didn't get any playing time against Philly. But yeah, I definitely think if he doesn't, especially when he does get his chance, if he doesn't do anything, he'll definitely be expendable. Because, I mean, we need to spread the money somewhere else too.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think A, I agree, but B, it's more about the fact that if you have to offload a contract, his is probably going to be the easiest to offload as opposed to somebody like Gaston, because he could come in and have a good run of 4 or 5 games and still be the 4th best guy for the Wings.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm looking at his guaranteed compensation right now. He's sitting at 662,000, and I feel like he's the odd man out when you bring in a YDP winger. You're already running into the issue of senior roster spots, and that's only going to get worse. I know Gaston's probably going to leave, Souquet's probably going to leave, but he is a guy who is probably on the outs come this summer. Someone in the chat, who was it? João Alavesi said Muller better than Marin Halassi.
Major L, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. Haile Selassie is an amazing winger and is a million times the winger that Mueller will ever be. He is from, Sweden, where soccer is God, and freaking Mueller's from Naperville. Is that where he's from? No, Schaumburg, close enough, same thing.
Don't diss on Naperville. Okay, great.
No, they're all the same. They're all the same.
Do you say Marin is from Sweden?
Switzerland, whatever.
He's from Ethiopia.
Same thing. What?
Yeah, he's Ethiopian, and then I think he's probably emigrated to Switzerland.
Can we cancel Joe? Cancel Joe, please, because you're kind of being really problematic so far. I'm going to be honest.
Bro, I said he was Swedish, actually, I said he was Swiss.
Well, you said he was Swedish.
They're all the same thing. Whatever, it's all the same thing.
So, okay, that's interesting. In chat, real quick, before we start getting into the community and hearing from all of y'all, who's better, Halassi or Chris Muller? Real quick, Joe says Marin Halassi. John, what do you say?
I'm Marin.
Marin? Okay, I'm also Team Marin. I think Marin is miles better. We have Marin, Halassi, Marin, Chris Muller. Okay, so Joe, sorry to say it, Chief, although you did praise Naperville, it looks like you have a hot take, and same with Eat the Big One First. So that's interesting. The debate goes on. Who's better, Muller, Marin, Halassi? Maybe I'll tweet that out on Men in Red right now, and we'll actually see. Meanwhile, put another poll. Meanwhile, John, do we have anyone who wants to speak?
We actually do. A friend of the show, Jiggly, immediately messaged me and was like, I want to get my take in. So we can bring Jiggly in if we're ready to start bringing folks up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just tweeting this out right now.
All right, Jiggly,
and then
if you're ready. Cool. Guys, there is also a request to speak function. If you do that, I'll be able to see it. I can then send you a message. And if you can't message me for whatever reason, that's going to be another way to do it.
And first off, Jiggly, cheers. Happy opening week.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We got a beer, bourbon. John's got his fruit drink, and I have my water. Jiggly, what's up, man?
So I'm just going to come in and say it. I think that Tobi Salquist is absolute garbage. And I think that Klopas knows it.
Interesting.
I think that Klopas knows it because I remember the town hall when he's introducing all of the players and, all of the signings that they made this offseason. When he mentioned Tobi, he stopped and then said, oh yeah, not all players are, sometimes it takes a while for players to get up to the speed of the game, of MLS. He stopped there, and then also, in the preseason, he did not look good. And then he doesn't even make the bench in a game where in a game where we don't have Tehran, he doesn't even make the bench as a center back. Like, who was our center back on the bench that game?
Amsberg, I think.
The Sheriff.
Okay, so it was Amsberg, which Amsberg is obviously, I love Wyatt. He's like the best, he's the best backup. He's the best backup MLS center back that you are going to have, because he is perfectly a backup. He's not your starter, but he's a guy you can send in. And the thing is that Tobi was signed to be something. He was signed to be something, and he can't even make the bench ahead of Wyatt. He can't make the starting lineup ahead of Pineda, who personally I do say that Pineda is more of a center back than a holding midfielder, but he doesn't get in ahead of Pineda at center back, who you can say he's being played out of position. You can say he is being played in position. The whole point is that I think Tobi is trash. And we're all just kind of having to deal with it. And there was somebody who apparently, Adnan brought this up on Sad Boys, but there was somebody who replied to the Men in Red account saying that Tobi was a journeyman throughout Denmark and never really fit into a team, and now he's here, and he's not going to play well here. So we might have a bit of an issue.
Joe, you want to take it first? You need a minute to think.
I don't need a minute to think, but also, Joao Avalesi, you are just racking up the L's in the chat. I hope you have the chance to come up and talk and not just chat. But also, I'm going to give him a chance. I mean, it's only been one game.
I'm not saying
right?
not give him a chance.
He's not Tom Barlow. Did he miss a wide open net? No.
Okay,
No.
I
didn't cut you off. You listen to me. All I want to know is, hey. So is it that Tobi's bad?
I was supposed to have a column about Tom Barlow up today.
Is it that he's bad, or is Philly just really good? Which is it?
I'm gonna admit, Joe.
We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know because he didn't play against Philly. And I think that might be the issue, is that we are not even seeing him going up.
Joe,
He's not good enough to be in the 18.
I'll say, Joe, I have no clue what you just said or what metaphor you were trying to make there. But what I will say... Okay, go ahead, Joe.
No, who am I getting him mixed up with? Who came in for Gutman?
That was Gasper. Chase Gasper.
Yes. No, I think Gasper is garbage.
Okay, interesting.
I got them
mixed up. We have later.
I know. I can see that, but I got them mixed up, and I apologize. They all look the same to me.
No, totally fair. Jiggly, I'll go ahead.
We had Tim out there.
yeah. Tim, Alex Campbell, all the guys together. I'm not ready to call a guy trash when I haven't seen him on the field for more than 90 minutes, and there could be 10 million reasons why he didn't go to Philly. It could simply be that he's not ready to play in MLS, which is okay. You mentioned it, Jiggly, the acclimation into the league for some players is longer than others. And we saw like Hugo Kuipers, who did start his first game, didn't look good. But that's your $12 million signing, so you have to start him. So it could simply just be a matter of...
I mean, I disagree on the...
Go ahead.
I disagree on the idea that like Kuipers or Barlow were bad, because I think that Barlow, first of all, you don't expect him to do well. It's funny if he doesn't. It's funny if he does well. It's funny if he's on the pitch. Like, you don't expect him to do well, and he's a guy that you just want him running around. And obviously, he failed absolutely on that breakaway. But I will also say, you guys mentioned they hit the crossbar. They hit the crossbar just before that breakaway. Like, that was the same exact play. It went back and forth. Obviously, he missed that. And, we don't expect him to score even 10 goals. I don't think he's going to get to, like, even 7. But it's funny. That's what we're here for. Barlow is the new Collier. But with Kuipers was just a step behind. And Nikolic was also just a step behind when he had his first month here. And Kuipers is coming in even later than Nico did. So I'd just say, I don't think that's a flop. I think, honestly, like Joe mentioned, the biggest flop was Gasper. And that's it. And if Tobi couldn't get past Gasper, if Tobi couldn't get past couldn't make the 18 ahead of Wyatt. Either he's injured, or based on what we're hearing from Klopas, he might not be that good.
I mean, we're not really hearing anything from Klopas. You are assuming based off something that you believe Klopas implied, which I don't think is necessarily fair. But I hear what you're saying, though. I hear what you're saying. I get the concern. The concern's there. Anytime you sign a center back who's supposed to be a starter and he doesn't get into the game day 18 is cause for concern. I just want us to be a little bit more patient. And I know our fan base has no time for patience. I don't. I'm so impatient.
You got
Joe
no time.
clearly, yeah. Joe clearly doesn't either. And I know you don't, Jiggly, because you want to see this guy succeed right now. But if after, if he doesn't make the game day 18 this home opener, and he doesn't make the game day 18 against Columbus away, then you start to panic a little bit. João Alavetzi, I apologize if I mispronounced that like Joe's doing. No patience with sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to throw straight at you right there. João wants the MLS Cup now, and I get that. And maybe Salquist needs a few more weeks before he can actually be a contributor to a MLS Cup winning side that will be the Chicago Fire in 2024. That's my take. Feel free to disagree.
I mean, all I'm saying is that I think that I don't think that Tobi is. If we're talking about who will be on here for an MLS winning team, I'm not sure if Tobi is going to be a guy who'll still be on here. I think he's here for like 2 years. He might not even see out the rest of his contract.
I mean, it could be. I'm not ready to agree with you on that yet. Yeah, we saw him for 45
Well, I mean, it's a
minutes.
hot take. Come on, man.
Yeah, true. Good point. That is the point of the show. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to pour water on this hot take personally because we saw him for 45 minutes in preseason against, what was it, Minnesota or Portland? No, we didn't see him in Portland. You couldn't watch that game. And he looked pretty meh. But I'll give him a couple weeks. I want to see him play against a good team, up next to Rafa to actually see if he's going to be any good or if Jiggly's actually spot on and Tobi's, a sack of shit, even though I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
He's not.
Right. He's not. Your team, Tobi.
Team Tobi.
Yeah, we're gonna
Lock it in.
Yeah,
go ahead, John.
No, we're gonna move on. I do want to say, Jiggly, as you said that last time. Oh my gosh, sorry, my screen went weird. As you said that, my mind immediately flashed to, oh my God, what if he's having shades of Arnaud Souquet regret after bringing him in? So
I think it might be it feels more like Christian Dean. If you remember that, it feels more like Christian Dean.
Valid.
Interesting.
All right, we're gonna.
Well, thanks, Jiggly.
Thank you, Jiggly. Alrighty. Next, we're gonna go to a question from the submission. We already kind of touched on this a few times, but there was a lot of talk around Chase Gasper and his performance on Saturday. So this one was from Xander, and I spit out my metaphorical coffee when I read it. But he said Gasper was so refreshing as a competent second string fullback who can play with the ball as opposed to a Sevis Burks or Espinoza in the past. And he thinks that the Fire are going to win 2-1 on Saturday. Just wanted to tee you guys up for this one. Joe, you go.
Well, first off, you're banned, whoever you are, from ever putting in another hot take again, because I don't know what game you were watching. I mean, I don't know what you were watching. I mean, the score probably correct, but it doesn't matter. You were on the Jow level terrible takes. And I don't know what game you're watching. And this is coming from a guy who mixed up two people just a minute ago. You're wrong, and you're banned. Goodbye.
All right, I'll provide a little bit more rational of a response. Xander, I'm kind of gonna agree with you. I don't think he was the greatest left back in the world that game, but I think anytime you have to sub in the second minute into the home opener when you're just an average left back, you're going to struggle. And Joe's shaking his head at me. He's not happy with me right now. But I remember watching Gasper play in preseason when he played against Minnesota, and he looked pretty good. We don't need him to be a start. We need him to be a filler piece for when Gutman's there. You can still play Johnny Dean on the left too. We have a lot of options. But I really enjoyed his passing vision. His distribution was pretty good. Yes, he got beat a lot. But once again, this was a guy who probably wasn't expecting to see any minutes. Let's be real. Andrew was going to go 90 minutes. And yes, he's a professional soccer player. I totally get that. But, some dudes are fighting their demons. And I agree with Joe. He did not have the greatest performance ever. But I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And maybe that's why I am really not good at giving these hot takes right now. Is just I want to make the Chicago Fire players feel really, really good. But we're gonna have to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm not their dad, but I will say this: Gasper has the next 4 or 5 games to prove that he's a competent second string fullback, and the performance has to be better than what he did against Philly. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised to see Johnny Dean starting on left back. I have my whole opinion on Johnny Dean, but not to offend John, I am not going to get into that territory right now.
I just, in defense of arguably our second best fullback, there's no reason he shouldn't start.
Okay, just because he's the second best fullback doesn't mean he's a good fullback. He's okay, but look, yeah, I'm not getting at you.
Jonathan Dean and you don't see a replacement level fullback in MLS, I don't know what to tell you. He is
okay.
The man played a whole season with a claw, man. He's amazing.
They haven't even unleashed his offensive prowess yet. I'm sorry. I'm not good.
No. I think we can agree on the fact that Johnny Dean is definitely better than like an Aceves and Espinoza and a Kendall Burks on the wing. But I think, just because he's the second best fullback on our roster, which I don't even agree with in the first place. Souquet is still better, and I'll fight anyone on that one personally. Don't give me that look, John. Don't give me that look. I don't want to deal with that look. But yeah, he's average. He's average. He's just as good, if not worse, than Gasper. Sorry, I said it.
Can we get a bunch of L's in the chat for Matt and Joao for saying those awful, awful things? All right. Continuing on with Gasper, though. Okay, please don't put up W's when I ask for L's. That's just rude. Continuing with
Damn
Gasper.
right, W.
So this is another question from Andrew. He said the left side looked really bad after Gutman's departure. Obviously, we know now Gutman's only out for the next 3 to 5 weeks. Do we feel like there is a need to backfill that fullback position a little bit? That's what Andrew was kind of getting at when he thought, hey, maybe we've got a little longer to go without Gutman.
If we didn't have him for the rest of the season, yes, I think we can get by. I think if they put, I'm sure they're just playing conservatively with his injury. It's early. The team still got to gel. So I don't think we really need to backfill. If he was out for the season, 100%. Because we would need some better quality. But I think we got super lucky that it wasn't anything serious. But yeah, it'll be okay. Oh, it's a rye.
Of course, Arise giving Joe a call live on air right now. Classic. Tell him to come in the chat, Joe. John, to answer this take, I think you got really lucky that you didn't offload Souquet all of a sudden, because that opens up your ability to a lot of things. Johnny Dean can start on the left, Gasper could start on the left, and you still have a quality backup for Aragoni and Souquet until Gutman comes back. And then when Gutman comes back, you have 5 fullbacks on the roster where, the combinations are endless and you can figure out which is the best combination for your team as long as Andrew Gutman starts, because he is going to be the best fullback we have on our roster. But I think in the meantime, I'm totally on board with that one, Joe. I think that's the first time we've agreed today, and I'm really happy you said that. Yeah, raise your eyebrows at me, young man. That's what I'm talking about. W's in the chat for Joe. But in the meantime, if you play a hybrid, a Dean and Gasper on that left for the next month, and you get 2 wins and a draw and a loss, I'm happy. Gutman comes back. He, scores 10 goals and 10 assists as a left back and beats out Kai Wagner, the racist, for the All-Star nod, and we're all happy. So at the end of the day, yeah, that's my take.
20 goal contributions.
Kai Wagner's a racist.
True. 20 goal contributions from a fullback probably should have made the first show of the season. Cool. We're going to go back to the audience now. We got Gretzky, who's been waiting a sec to come and join us. So Gretzky, going to send this invite, hop on in, and we'll get his question here shortly.
Hello.
Gretzky. What's up, Gretzky?
How you doing, y'all?
Doing
Good.
amazing.
What's going
Welcome
on?
to the show.
Yeah, welcome in.
Thank you. All right, so I don't know whether to consider this as a hot take, but so basically, as Cincinnati being one of the more stronger sides of the Eastern Conference, coming off the game yesterday against Cavalier, winning 4-0. Obviously, knowing that they're a weaker side, if you guys were in the position of Frank Klopas, what would you take initiative in like more of an analytical sense, or just to be prepared for the game on Saturday against Cincinnati? That's you know going into the game with more motivation in their hands.
A loaded question, Wayne Gretzky. I'll go ahead and take a crack at it first. Well, I'll start off by saying that I remember looking at the starting 11 that Cincy had, and Santos, Acosta, Kubo, and Miles Robinson, four of their main guys, were on the bench. I saw someone say it in chat that they got that win with a lot of their like rotational pieces. So I think you're preparing for this game from an analytical standpoint, from a physical standpoint, as if they are going to be full strength. The same preparations. How do you deal with Luciano Acosta? Since he's first week against Toronto, Toronto's defensive concept was just to swarm Acosta and prevent him from kind of moving the ball and facilitating the ball. Do we operate under that same sort of plan where we just hound Acosta? One other thing they need to note about why they should prepare for a full strength Cincinnati is Bupenza, the Gabonian international, Gabonian, one of the two. I'm not 100% sure. International is now healthy. He's back, and he's most likely going to start. He came off the bench against Toronto, and he's their best attacker, obviously outside of Acosta. So he's going to be back in the fold. So if you're Frank Klopas, you're going into this. You're not expecting any sort of squad rotation. You're not really expecting any sort of fatigue. It's early in the year. These guys are healthy. They're going to come at you firing on all cylinders. And I will be in the first row of the supporter section, hounding and talking shit to my really, really good friend Roman Celentano, Naperville native. So I'm looking forward to the game in general. I think it's going to be a battle. The last time since he came to Soldier Field, I believe it was a 3-3 tie. So it was a really crazy game overall. And I think you have to prepare for another crazy game.
Yeah, I think you just prepare for the best squad anyway, and you also prepare to go in. This is return to red. You go in, you just want to smash them if you can. We throw everything at them. We throw everything at them. That's all I'm saying. I don't think there's any analytical way to say we need to fuck up Cincinnati. That's all I can say. I just want to win so bad. I think winning in red, winning with the stadium and the energy coming in, that's all you got to do. But yeah, they're gonna be full strength. They're gonna want to come in, stomp on our party, and we are going to stomp them. 5-1 fire.
Wow. Okay, kind of piggybacking off what Gretzky asked, guys. Coming into that game last week against Philly, it felt like everything was a little more geared offensively, right? You saw Fabian Gaston. Do you think when Frank puts the lineup together going into this week, do you think he sticks with that of like, we're going to fire on all cylinders, we're going to get as much offense as we can, or is it going to be a little more Fede and Kellen, kind of keep things back? We want to play keep away a little bit, like play more defensively as opposed to trying to smash them in the mouth early, right?
I think we smashed him in the mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I think Klopas knows this club. He knows how much this game means to fans. 25,000 plus at Soldier Field. Like Joe said, the return to red, where like the expectation should not be to sit back and let Cincy attack you, because that's how we lose games. That's how we've been losing games for the past 12 years. The expectation should be, and I know Klopas knows this because he loves the club. He knows the mentality. He knows how shit we've been the last X amount of years, is to fire on all cylinders. We need to make a statement. Since he's the reigning supporter shield champions, they're going to be one of the better teams in the league. You need to shove it down their throat. That's what she said. But you seriously need to shove that shit down their throat, make them work for the win. Joe, thanks for the little smile there. And go at them with everything you got. Get Hugo his debut goal. Get Brian, a Guti, another assist, and then hold the line, see it through, and go into Columbus with 3 points, because Columbus is going to be a much tougher match. Columbus away is going to be a lot tougher of a match than this home game is going to be. Wallaberry, Matt, you sound like my father. Don't know if that's a good thing. Please clarify. I'm 24. I'm not ready to be a father quite yet. But thanks, Wallaberry. Appreciate that. And Wallaberry also saw 30K plus Saturday, which would be incredible. I'm also not Wallaberry's father. Can confirm. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean. Gretzky, great question, though. Great thoughts.
All right. Once again, thanks for having me on here
Of
tonight.
course. Are you going to be at the game? Are you going to be at the game?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Oh, stop by the supporters tailgates. Come say hi. You now know what 3 people look like. Come grab a beer. Come hang out. We'd love to meet you.
All right. Sweet. Have a great night, guys.
Cheers, man. Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for hopping on.
I do want to say, anybody who's at the game, come by, smell the Kellen Acosta candle. It's actually pretty good, not going to lie. Cool. So a few more questions from the live audience. This is from Eat the Big One First. He threw it up into the into the submission a few minutes ago. This is actually from his wife, ironically enough. Good for you, man. She knows ball. She says that Johnny Dean will start more matches at right back than Alan Aragoni this season.
Joe, go ahead.
See, I want to say yes. Like, I want to say yes. But I think Aragoni is going to be really good. I just think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be someone the Fire are going to have for a long time. And I want, I will not be upset if I'm wrong. But I think I just don't see that happening. But I want to be wrong.
It's interesting. I feel like a lot of this stems from last season, where Dean overtook Souquet as the starting right back eventually. But I don't think it's good. It's because he's French. Yeah, it could be because he's French. Very, very true. I don't know if you have something against the French people, but I don't personally. I love Souquet, but I don't think we're going to have a repeat of that. I think Aragoni, he did an article. I can't remember for who it was. I think it was Joe Chats at On Tap Sportsnet, One Tap Sportsnet, or whatever the website's called. I'm sorry, Joe. Still love me. That Aragoni's physical play is really catered to a league like this. And we saw his power and we saw his speed in preseason and in the home opener. And I think, once again, he might need a little time to adjust. But I'm very hopeful that we're going to have another diamond in the rough like we did with Marin. So we're going to go 2 for 2 on Lugano signings. So at least that's what I feel initially. Johnny Dean, we know what we're going to get with him. His ceiling has kind of already been reached. But I feel like Aragoni, we don't know what his ceiling is. Similarly to what we did with Souquet, we have to kind of see that through. And I think with Aragoni, it's going to be a smash hit. Aragoni Gutman, top 5 combo, fullback combo in the league. That's all I'm saying. John, I mean, you're probably going to agree with this. I don't even know if you need to say anything. I'm going to be honest. Or disagree with it, I should say. No, agree with it.
You guys know I love Johnny Dean. I think this is probably false. I think I loved watching Aragoni. I thought he was awesome against Philly, especially first game in the league. I think they have a similar number of appearances, though. I think in a game where Gutman is healthy, he plays a full 90, and I think Dean comes on late defensively if we're up. Just because he can just literally sit back, doesn't have to go forward attacking. He's just better in that sense. So I wouldn't be shocked if he played a lot, but he won't play full 90s. He won't start.
Alan in the chat goes, when you watch the game, you don't see Johnny Dean. When you watch Johnny Dean, you see the game. That's like some Chuck Norris level quotes right there. So very interesting, one to ponder about as we start getting into these next questions. But Colin, you got some people thinking over here. That's for sure. It's a good question though.
Absolutely. We got another one that was submitted to the forum from a live audience member from Togapi. He said letting Brant Bronico go was a crucial mistake for our midfield. He played every game, and that durability and physicality is something that we really needed last year. He's a top defensive mid in this league.
Go ahead, Joe. I'll go ahead.
No, my take's coming downstairs.
Got it. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. I'll say this. This is going to be an interesting comparison, and I'm really interested to see how the people in the chat react. Brant Bronico is the Johnny Dean of CDMs. His ceiling has been hit. He's a bulldog. He just runs around and tackles people and does what he need to do. And they're great to have on the roster. They're really, really great to have on the roster. But ultimately, he is not one of the best sixes in the league. I think that's kind of a little bit of a wacky thing to think about. He's great to have. He's a great piece to have in that rotation. But one, we didn't also let him go. He wanted to go home to Charlotte to play for Charlotte FC's expansion team. He, didn't see the fit for him in the city, and that's okay. We all loved him. He was a fan favorite, kind of like Johnny Dean is now. Josh says Bronico just ran around like a headless chicken, and I kind of agree with that. I mean, honestly, let's be real. Sorry, John. I feel like that's kind of what Johnny Dean does. They're sprinters. They run around. They go, yeah. Oh, John, you agree with it? No?
Yeah, no. I love Johnny Dean because he's
Oh, okay, great.
Guy. Like, that's his whole
Got
deal.
it. Okay.
Like those karate kick blocks. That's sick.
Yeah, I feel like Brad Bronico kind of has the same style of play. DJ agrees. Bronico love him, but he was not a top D mid. Dude was a backup, great backup, but he's not a starting D mid. Great, yeah, and of course, yes, he was part of the young American Money crew that included Drew Connor, Joey Calistri, Christian Dean. Who else was in that Yam group back? Oh, it was Collier. Was it Collier? No, it wasn't Collier. Daniel Johnson. That's right, the Birmingham.
Louisville Cardinal.
Yeah, and Birmingham Legion. Hey, Alyssa, how are you? Welcome into the call.
Hi.
Do you have thoughts on Brant Bronico?
Yeah, I mean, I think he benefited from being surrounded by Basti and Dax in the midfield, and it kind of heightened how his performance was.
Valid.
But do you think we're missing something that we should have kept him?
I mean, he was a really nice guy. I liked him, but I get too emotionally attached to players. So
He's a nice guy, but that's how you probably rejected many men before you found perfection.
Sure. But
Real quick, in the chat, Jao Lavezzi goes, this one confuses me. So, John, we're going to need a minute to decipher this. Hot take, Matthew DeLue was our best DM in the last 5 years.
who's Matthew?
Michael DeLue. Okay, we got a correction, Michael DeLue, but there's still one correction that needs to be made. John.
I've been saying his name wrong the whole night, so you can do it's okay.
We have a signed Michael DeLue poster.
So that's right, we do. How about that?
It's in our
Sweet.
bedroom.
Although he wasn't a defensive mid, he was in fact a striker attacking mid, but a goated player. One of the best and underrated players since I've been a Chicago Fire fan. But all in all, Brent Bronico, I think we collectively agree he was a great role piece. He was great for the club. His ceiling is kind of limited, but ultimately, he chose to go back to Charlotte, and we respected that. And glad he's succeeding there. Glad he's getting starts there still, which is really huge for him, even though Charlotte's really not that good of a club, so it doesn't really say much in the first place. John, pass it back to you.
Yeah, unless you guys have any more really strong feelings about Brant Bronico, Araya has been waiting for a minute, so I'm going to add him in.
He's also the worst number 10, I think, in Fire history. But go ahead. All right, let's hear from Araya.
Veronica's or Herbers is better than Bronico. I'm just saying.
W. Yeah,
Right.
I'm interested in this Arai one though, John.
He'll be joining. I do also want to say it looks like Joe is married to Kellen Acosta because her face is so blurry.
Damn, I thought I expected like a roast right there or something like that. My goodness. This Arai take is getting me hype. Yeah, I can't wait for this Arai take. I need him to be in this call right now.
Guys,
He's going to come out with some fiery.
He's been invited to speak. He just isn't accepting it for some reason.
Oh my goodness.
I work in IT. I can't work a computer.
Oh, it ain't letting me. WTF. All right. Let's keep trying. John, maybe we go on to another.
Yeah, we've got more questions. This is from Logan, and I kind of like this, but he said, "Fine, you want my take. The left side looked bad because Guti never tracked back at all. Whoever was at left back was always going to get cooked once the center of the midfield lost energy to track out and cover back."
L because it's Logan, and L because it's anti-Goody, but W because he's probably right.
I mean, I personally really like Logan, so that's a W because it's Logan, and a W or an L because it is Goody, and you're not supposed to trash, our prince. But W because the takes is right. I remember, on the goals, Guti did not do a good. Here's a rye. Hang on, a rye. Hold up. Let me cook. Guti did not do a good job of tracking back. He did not do a good job of looking over his shoulder and seeing the overlapping run, and that led to one of the goals, which is never fun to see. And that's why I always believe that he's better in the center of the pitch and not out on the width, especially with Gasper, a left back who is not our starting left back, and not the first choice to be lined up with Guti on the left side. So I agree with the take. Guti struggled in that position. He needs to get better, and it's what we've talked about with his development. Is he needs to show those signs of improving defensively, and some of those attacking aspects as well. But ultimately, started off really great. So I know everyone's really excited to see him this season. And Joe's just brought on his dog, so I don't know what I'm more excited to hear from, Joe's dog or Arise. What is bound to be an incredibly disgustingly hot take, because I know Arise, so we'll pass it over to him.
All right. So I would like the record to show that I was taking a fat nap, and then Joe called me and told me that Matt said that Souquet is better than Johnny Dean. And I cannot be more disgusted with that comment. Mr. Souquet here, I think he's one of the worst fullbacks that we've had in years. This guy is he's not it. Let's just say that. I'm glad he got his green card. That means he can go ruin some other MLS club.
Horrible.
No, I disagree. Name a worse fullback.
Nicolas Del Greco, Alonso Aceves, John Espinoza, like Jorge Corrales.
Bro, Espinoza is tearing it up in the Swiss league. I don't know what Souquet can do.
Okay, that is
retreat.
You are letting your emotions get to your brain again. Okay, Arai? Listen, don't make me tell the crowd what happened when we were at the hotel. Okay, I'll talk about the whole, comms director.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Deets. We need the deets.
Okay,
give us the tea.
I can't give too much tea, actually. I'm realizing that now. But basically, someone called Arai out for his negativity and emotions on Twitter.
Oh, that is kind of true. That is kind of true.
Yeah.
However, look. I feel like the negativity in me really came out just as long as Souquet has been a part of this team. That's how passionate I am about how terrible of a player he is. And frankly, I am scared of having him back on the team. I think that he's a liability. He cost us so many points last year. He makes stupid decisions. Matt, unmute yourself. I want to hear you.
I am unmuted. I do think you're trying to gaslight me right now. And for the sake of content and for the sake of entertainment, I'm going to let it work. You're stupid. This is like...
Whoa.
That is a terrible...
Yes!
Souquet is not worth his price tag.
Do you not remember that Wednesday night in Bridgeview last year where Souquet single-handedly gave away a PK and got a red card or some crap?
It happens. It happens. He's not the greatest right back in the world. His ceiling is higher than Johnny Dean. He has a higher level of play.
But Johnny Dean's a dog.
I'm not saying Johnny Dean isn't a dog. And I know... Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
This show that's supposed to be about hot takes. Here's the Souquet absolutely has a higher ceiling. He has a significantly lower floor. I think that's, in my opinion, based off what I've seen on the field. But part of this is also Frank played him as a right center back for 2 months last season. And that's where I feel like a lot of these awful Souquet memories come from. But I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he should start over Jonathan Dean, though.
Well, neither of them are going to start, so we won't really have that problem to run into in the first place, which is actually great for my relationship with Arai. So thank you, Aragoni, for saving my relationship.
Let me say, the only saving grace Souquet has is towards the end of the season last year, he started picking on other MLS players and learning the shithousery that CONCACAF is, and I like that out of him. Okay, I'm gonna give him. Towards the end of the season last year, he was wasn't there a game where he I don't know, he was just talking smack with some other MLS players. So that was good. I like that. But
if he's doing that, then I think you're wrong, and I take back everything I said about Souquet. The French for that matter. If what he's saying, if Souquet is a troll and he is a CF97 troll, then I'm here for him, man. Then everything, I take back everything, and then Arai, you should just go back to bed because you're wrong.
All right. Well, so look, this Souquet guy, right? Like, just look at my tweets, right? I think he is the Fire player I've had the most negative things to say about. And honestly, it's probably the reason that I'm on some blacklist at Fire social media. I'd be like, mute or when Arai says anything that's about Souquet, because I don't know. He's just, I don't see the dog in him. I think he's soft. I think he's weak. He gave away more than one PK last year, and just he's lazy. Just like when someone beats him, if people beat him, he gets cooked. If you remember our Open Cup game, you can see how passionate I was then. Insert grab here, Austin. Where I literally said he got cooked. He just got cooked. Like, and he just, dude is crazy.
Please hold Colin. And Colin's the MVP when it comes to Hot Take Live in the chat. Just brought up
sarcasm.
W on 8/4/23. Souquet will save the day. #CF97. You are a fraud. John, get him out of here.
Whoa. Go back to that game. Oh my God. Colin, I'm coming for you.
Would you like any last words before you're kicked? For
I do. Because if you look.
Bad. Okay.
John, real quick, just to let everyone know, I did quote tweet that link that Colin sent, just with thoughts ? So people can share their thoughts on what they think about Arai's Souquet tweets from 8/4/2023. Arai is now all caps in the chat and is angry. Logan's like, America, love this. Back to you. Oh my God, he's back. How is he back?
I felt
okay. He's back.
It's not like when I kicked Joe out. It's.
Am I allowed to swear on here? Because I'm going to swear on you, even though. All right, Matt, or Colin and Matt and whoever else, you motherfuckers. Let me tell you, this tweet, don't gaslight everybody. This tweet was sarcasm. Look at the time. It was 8:43. That's like the end of a game. Who did we play that day? I just want to go back to August 4th and remember what happened that day. Insert sound effect here.
Yeah, sorry you have to be held accountable for your actions, buddy.
Yeah, I like the alternate history. Thank you, Arai.
They played Club America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were playing. I was not at this game, hence why I was live tweeting, because I had work that day. And I live like 2 hours away. But yeah, that game, Souquet came on, and he came on in the 74th minute, and then he immediately got a yellow card, it looks like. So look, I appreciate a player who gets a yellow card, but Souquet's just not it, bro. He doesn't produce. Like, he's just there.
Everyone, please.
Sounds like someone who agreed that Brian Gutierrez deserved a red card against Orlando. So, Arai, it's been great talking to you.
He's a kid.
People want to talk to the club.
Thank you for your question. Oh,
yeah, thanks, man. We love you, bro.
I do want to.
Souquet was on a whole 13 minutes before he got his yellow card. Sucks to be you, Arai. Look who has the microphone now. Let's go on to the next hot take.
Yeah. Moving on. Cool. So we haven't really broached this except for maybe briefly, I think, for a second there, but did want to get a little more flushed out thoughts on this one. So obviously it was announced Xherdan Shaqiri will be the permanent captain for Chicago Fire in 2024. When he came off last Saturday, Fabian Herbers took the armband from him, meaning Rafa Schijos is neither captain nor vice captain. Matt, Joe, this feels like a major red flag. Where are you guys at?
Well, we're wearing red, so anything that happens with the armband probably will be a red flag.
The bad kind of red.
I think Shaqiri should be the leader in the locker room. Is he making the most? I don't know.
Second most behind Messi.
Yeah, so he should be the leader, and I hope, my whole hope with this offseason is that this would give him more motivation. Kind of like when the Greek Pegasus Koutsias came in last year, gave him some motivation to play better, and I just kind of hope that this is what it is. You know, if you know, I have a feeling she hosted did something in the locker room, or has just become a lazy old man. I really don't care any about him anymore. I don't think about him. So I am all for that. Fabi's been here the longest. You know, I'm here for that.
Listen, Klopas in his press conference, excuse me, said, and I quote, Rafa Chihos was part of the decision, meaning that Rafa gave up the armband. And for me, that's enough to disqualify it as a red flag. Now, if Klopas is like forcefully taking the armband away from him without his say and giving it to Shaqiri, you know, then you think about the locker room a little bit. Is it fractured? What's going on there? But because Rafa was part of the decision, I feel more comfortable with it. And I agree with Joe when he said that Shaqiri should be the leader of the team. Dude's making what, 12 million a year. That's the expectation. Whether or not he's going to do that, you know, we know he's a little bit of a crybaby on the pitch, but we need him to be a $12 million player and a captain on the team. And as for giving, you know, the vice captain when Shaqiri left the pitch to Fabi's the longest tenured player on our roster right now. You know, this is a guy who stayed committed in a league and in a team where it's pretty difficult to stay committed. He's seen 3 logos. He's seen 3 different head coaches, maybe even 4. He's probably seen 4 now. Klopas, Ezra, Wiki, and Pano. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. And he stayed loyal the whole time. And I think at the end of the day, that sort of loyalty is deserving of a vice captaincy. And he's a guy that still puts the ball in the back of the net at the end of the day, too. So I'm okay with it. You know, I've never been as big of a Rafa fan in his leadership style and in his game as other people. I think he's still quality and he's going to lead our backline really well. But I don't think it's that big of a red flag. I think it's okay to move on and try something new. And hopefully this, you know, we're all doing new things to get this club back to where it is or where it should be. And this is one of those things. So we'll see if it works. It might not, but I definitely don't think it's a red flag. Great question, though.
Yeah, that's a good one. We did have a request from Cinderace of the South. I'll send them a request to see if they want to hop in here. I think, Matt, you may have touched on what they were going to say, but still may want to add it in. Hello and welcome.
DJ, what's up, man?
Hey, Matt. Actually, you kind of covered it about Fabi, why he's second choice. But on Shaq, this is his last year. He knows he has to do something. That's why I think him being the captain makes sense. He knows this will now be the second team in a row that he ain't done jack for. So on his plate, it's like you either lead the team and get something, or you don't lead the team and you walk away and go to Switzerland with nothing in your backpack.
Yeah,
so I think with him being captain, yeah, which it is for Fabi too, and that makes sense for Fabi, but who knows what Fabi's going to be doing.
Well, I'll say re-signing Fabi really is like a no-brainer to me. He's a guy that's been committed to the club, you know, and if he accepts the same amount of money, you lock him back in. He's a great piece. He can play basically everywhere in the midfield and attack whenever you need him to. He's not a star, but he's a great piece to have. And Shaqiri knows it's a contract year. Dude's making 12 million. He's not going to make 12 million at Lugano. He knows that. Like this is America, man. He's getting paid more than he should. And if he's going to do anything to warrant that type of cash for another contract, whether that be with the Fire or another, you know, team that will pay him that money, he's got to show something. And maybe the captaincy will give him that jolt that he needs to really be the star that we all thought he would be. And he honestly probably could be if he puts in the effort to do it. But yeah, we'll see. Contract years always bring out the best in players because money talks at the end of the day. And, you know, he's a guy that very clearly cares about money because he's getting paid 12 million. I would care about money if I got paid 12 million a year. Like, I want that to continue. So we'll see what happens. Joe, what do you think?
I already went, but I'm here for Shaq. I think, you know, this is going to be a big year for him. Again, contract year, like everybody else said, and there's fire there. Pardon the pun. Like there's fire there, and I'm sure it'll be a good year.
DJ, great question though. Cheers, man.
Also, one other thing I just thought of, Klopas does this. He did this before too. I just realized with Logan Paws and Jeff Lorenowicz. He
It's
took
true,
the captain's
yeah.
band from Lorenowicz to Lorenowicz, but it worked out in the end.
Big Red, baby. I love Big Red. What a legend of the club. Good point, DJ. DJ always spin that history. If you don't know, DJ is one of our hosts on the Bonfire podcast. So we're grateful you're here, and we're grateful you're one of the hosts over here. So thanks for hopping on and sharing your thoughts. And he's also our resident history guy and Jiggly too. So we love you, DJ.
Yeah, thank you, DJ.
Excellent. Also, goddamn it, Arai.
W's in the chat. W's in the chat.
W.
All right, guys, that leads us into what might be our last from the submission form, but it kind of segues perfectly. Paul from Waukegan, he says that Shaq and Gaston are going to end up having monster years, and they're both going to make it very difficult not to re-sign them in the offseason. So, A, thoughts, but B, for Shaqiri specifically, what would it take from him for either of you to re-sign him moving into 24 or 25?
Ooh, it's a great question. Well, I'll share that I don't think Gaston will be starting in a month because he's going to be on the outs come summer. But in that month, if he wants to pop off and go crazy, I'm definitely not going to say no. But I think with Acosta coming in and Federico, still in the mix, and Fabian Herbers, who's still in form, you're not going to see him get that much game time. I know he's technically a DP by the rules, but if you haven't read the articles as to why he's a DP, I recommend reading those because it makes sense at the end of the day. As for Shaqiri, I think his contributions need to be around 25 goals and assists combined for me to consider it. I don't really want to re-sign him back because that's a lot of money for a player who hasn't produced that much. But if there's any thought about it, he's just getting older at the end of the day too. 25 contributions, we'll say 15 assists and 10 goals is something that I'd have to be comfortable with to even give it a conversation. Get thought starter in my head. That's what I'm trying to say. Joe?
Yeah, I don't think there's any goal contribution things that would make sense for us keeping him for another year, to be completely honest. Like Matt said, I think the cap space is a big hit, and we can really bring in a lot more depth and quality talent that could really help this team move to the next level. And that's what I think. And then, like I said, Gaston's on the way out, and Gaston will go, and that'll be some more money that we'll be able to move around. So, yeah, I even if they, like I said, Shaqiri could score, be at 30 goal contributions or whatever, and I still would say, you know what, let's just move on. It was a good run. Have fun in Lugano.
Yeah.
I could see him going back to Basel or something, not even Lugano necessarily. I think he was a Basel youth player. Rafa Wiki's home. No, that's Young Boys. Whoops, that's Young Boys now. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to take a lot, like Joe and I both said. It's going to take quite a lot.
No doubt. All right, guys, before we kind of wrap up and get going, I want to real quick from Matt and from Joe, score prediction and goal scorers for Saturday. Where do you see that game ending up? Joe, kick us off. What do you think?
I think I'm going to say 3-1. The Fire score 2 goals in the first half, and then 1 more late. And I think we're going to get a Acosta goal. I think we'll get a Shaq goal. And Johnny Dean is going to score a hat trick.
Isn't that 5?
I don't know how to. I'd failed college algebra, and it's I like you said, I don't know who's going to score, because if anything from that first game taught us, it's just going to get the ball in the box, and whoever can kick it into the goal is going to kick it in the goal. That's really what I think is going to happen. But I think we're going to. I mean, the good thing is we can create chances. I don't know who's going to score, but like I said, I think 3-1, 2 goals in the first, 1 in the second, late, right after a late Cincinnati goal.
It's interesting Joe said that, because I agree with the scoreline. I think it's going to be 3-1 Fire, and I think it is going to be a statement win, which pains me to say it because Roman Celentano is a good friend of mine, and I never want to wish him ill. outside of Saturday in those 2 hours. I kind of wish him well just a little bit in regards to the game, not anything else. I'm going to go with Hugo Kuipers. Gets his first goal as a member of the Chicago Fire. I'm also going to go with Marin Haile Selassie on the score sheet, and then Rafa Shihos is going to get a header off a corner or off a free kick or something like that. But I think it's very important that we get those attackers going outside of Guti as well. In terms of what it's going to look like throughout the game, I think the Fire are going to go up 2-0 at halftime. I think they're going to concede a goal in the 63rd minute, whether that be a PK or whatever it is, and we're all going to start to panic, thinking that we've lost the game, because I know that's exactly what we'd be thinking if we concede. And then we're going to put it away. Marin will put it away in the 82nd, 83rd minute, something like that. But Joe and I agree on the timeline, just obviously different ways of getting there. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got 2-0 Fire. Hugo and Marin score early and then just kind of hold it down for like 60 minutes.
Holding it down for 60 minutes, that's going to be a stressful game to watch. But at the end of the day, hopefully we can pull out a W. Real quick in the chat, if you're hearing this on Spotify, Apple, whatever you're hearing it on, comment what you think the scoreline's going to be. If you're listening to this after the game, which is probably a lot, probably most of you, honestly, let us know in the comments of whatever podcast app you're looking what you think about the game, what you thought about the game, and I'm sure we'll recap it over on the Bonfire Filmed next week. As we wrap up here, I just wanted to remind you guys very quickly of the Bonfire schedule. The second Thursday of every month, we'll be releasing a taped one. Myself, Joe, Paul, and of course, John will be doing that. What's that, Joe?
Oh, you said Bonfire. This is Hot Takes. I know you're a big, podcast aficionado, and you forget where you are, but it's Hot Takes, buddy.
Yeah, true. This is Hot Takes, but the Bonfire will also be filmed next week, so I technically wasn't wrong, Joe, buddy. But seriously, go follow MIR97 Pods on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube. You can find both the Bonfire and Hot Takes on there. Subscribe, give us 5 stars. Unless you don't think we're worth 5 stars, then don't, because we want honest feedback. Joe, John, where can we find you on social media?
I'm at Joe Titman on Twitter. I don't do anything else.
Yeah, I'm at West on Twitter, but the E's are 3s.
Yeah, I can never find John on Twitter because it's a complicated name, but you can go ahead and find me. Go ahead, John.
No, I'll change it before the next episode.
No, you're good, man. We'll just put it in the description or something like that. You can find me at mshabes, MSHABES, on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, please go give Men in Red 97 a follow on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and follow MIR97 Pods on Twitter. That's kind of the home for all the commentary that goes on in both the Bonfire and Hot Takes. I see Joe was already tweeting about something during the show, so be sure to follow it about to hear from all our podcast hosts and get in about all the bits and funny things that go on in these episodes. Other than that, really excited for Saturday, home opener, 25 to 30K expected. If you're listening to this somehow before the game, because who knows when we'll get it out, or if you're in the chat, stop by the tailgates, come say hi, have a beer. We'd love to meet you and say hi. That being said, thank you all so much for being here. Shout out the hosts, the live chat, Joe, John. Appreciate everything you do. Go Fire. Por siempre rojo. Come on, you men in red. Go Fire.
Fuck Ohio.
Valid.